Modern American Canasta is back, and today's topic is what should I discard? Do your competitors always have a safe discard and you wonder why? Do you often discard and then the pack is picked by the next player? Do you want to improve your decision making when it comes to what to discard? This may sound like an infomercial, but this video is for you. What to discard often depends on your goals. And in Modern American Canasta, the complete guide, we can't fit all of the 14 chapters of strategy into short videos, but we go over how strategy often depends on where you are in the round, where you are in the game, what your competitors have out on the table, what you have out on the table. So all these factors factor in, but here are some questions. Are you trying to meet your required point count to open? Do you want to discard a safe card to protect the pack from being picked? Do you want the opponents to pick the pack, which some of you might be scratching your head, and we'll get into that? Do you want to bait your opponent to throw a card for you to pick the pack on your next turn? All of these are valid thoughts and valid strategies, so let's get down to business. Are you trying to meet the required point count to open? If you have a lot of high value cards and you could spare a single high value card, sometime that is a great discard, a single one of those, because fours, fives, and sixes often are a great entree to pick the pack. Those cards are often thrown out like hotcakes. So if you can keep pairs of fours, fives, and sixes, that could help you later on. If you have a required point count, though, you may need to throw a higher point card to be able to pick the pack. Before opening, and actually throughout the game, it makes sense to discard a single card and keep like picture and like number cards in hand to be able to have melds and pairs to pick the pack. But we hear you asking, well, what should I discard? What's a safe card that protects the pack? Throughout the round, players usually discard a card to prevent the pack from being picked, sometimes called protecting the pack. If you have two or more aces or two or more sevens, that third ace or third seven is a great discard. Safe discards are cards that the player can't use with a pair to pick the pack. These include dead cards and cards that match melds in fifth position. And we've gone over that before, but as a quick little aside, if the opponent has 5 cards down, whether they're natural or natural with wild, if there are 5 and they have one in their hand or a pair in their hand that match the top card, the pair and the top card must be melded. So that would give them 5 on the table plus those 3. That would be 8. And that's too many for a canasta. So they can't pick the pack because they can't just throw away the 8th card. So discarding a card that matches something in fifth position is a safe discard. Other discards are when the opponents have 4 of a card melded. Even if you have 3 of these cards, you can't reach a canasta because the most you'll get is 3 and 1 more, making it 4 and 2 wilds. The most you'll get is 6. So if they have 4 tens out and you have 3 tens in hand, or even let's say fives, if they have 4 fives out and you have 3 fives in hand, that meld of 15 points isn't going to be that big of a deal. But to have 3 cards that you know are safe cards is wonderful. So often not melding something and using it as a safe discard can be really valuable. Now, what if you want your opponents to pick the pack? You might be saying, when would you want this? What if you know the pack has a lot of aces and sevens and there won't be enough time for the competitor to get rid of these cards? Or if both teams have a lot of canastas and melds with a lot of cards, so the pack is full of dead cards that can't be melded and can't become canastas. And it's towards the end of the game, so they'll be stuck with a lot of high value cards in hand. Sometimes there are only a few cards in the discard pile, and you only have 1 card that you know is a safe card. You might want to get rid of that more risky card now when they'll only get 1 or 2 cards and save the safe card for a later discard. What if you've been counting aces and sevens and you think you could bait the opponent, knowing they'll be stuck based on the cards you have in hand or that you know your partner had from just picking the pack? These are all considerations of maybe wanting the opponent to pick the pack. What about wanting to pick the pack yourself? How do you set yourself up to do that? There's a strategy kind of called like the baiting of the opponent. If you have, let's say, 3 tens and you put one of those tens down, the player throwing to you gets to look back 3 cards. They see you threw a 10 and they assume Hey, it's a safe card. But you could have been baiting them. It's a strategy, it's perfectly acceptable. The reward, though, does not come without risk. Just because you have 3 10s doesn't mean the person you're throwing the card to doesn't also have 2 10s and they could use it to pick the pack. The strategy doesn't always work, but when it does, it's very exciting. You're invited. Our 1 year anniversary Zoom party for the publication of Modern American Canasta, the complete guide, is taking place this Sunday, March 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Register for free at bit.ly/RSVP Canasta. All the letters in capital need to be in capital because bit.ly is case sensitive, or you could just open your camera on your phone and scan that QR code, and it'll have a link to click on and register. We're looking forward to a fun and informative Zoom. We're going to be discussing celebrating last year, what's next, and we're discussing special hands because we've been asked a lot of questions about it recently on our Facebook group. If you play mahjong, here's some other wonderful Zooms coming up. We have Modern Mahjong is hosting Barney Glacio's review of the National Mahjong League card on April 4th. And Dara, me, and Donna Kassman, the other Donna, are hosting a Zoom about frequently asked questions that arise after we've been playing with the new card for a little bit. There's so many questions out there. We know Modern American Canasta, the complete guide, and our visual companion guide for American Mahjong are both available on Amazon. Any questions, feel free to message us, join our Facebook group, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching. Hope this was helpful. Please let us know in your comments anything you'd like us to discuss next. Have a great day. Hope it's special.